Something miraculous is happening in the world right now. Revival for Jesus Christ is breaking out all over the world.
What if Charlie's death sparks a revival in our day, like the evil murder of Abel in the days of Genesis sparked a revival in his day? It is possible in the providence of God that you and I are in Arizona at ground zero for the global martyrdom of arguably the most influential young Christian man on the earth, who was pointing to Jesus Christ, who was defending Jesus Christ.
Our country needs a savior right now, and our country has a savior. And that's not me. That's somebody much higher up than me.
Saved my life. I'm a sinner, gave my life to Christ, most important decision I ever made.
Now, you need to understand that we have been deprived of real love. You've been cut off from your soul, been cut off from the true nature of life and this reality. And what you've got to be careful of is what I say, beware the cosmic candy. And it's all going to be about love, and it's all going to be about light. And people are just flocking to that energy like child in a candy store. Don't be so naive. Please, don't be so naive. The only way you're going to get your true point of reference is deep down in here.
And they're doing it through what I call the Christian Reich. And this is what we're seeing. Over 3 years ago, I was telling my own community, hey, y'all watch out. You're going to start seeing signs of major celebrities that you would have never predicted. Talking heads, pundits, politicians. You're going to see a lot of people that you would have never expected suddenly convert to Christianity and start pushing it. I said this 3 years ago. I said this is the rise of the Christian Reich. And I also said in my predictions videos that at the same time, you're going to see the controlled collapse of the leftist Democratic Party. And the way they're going to do this is to widely publish for the whole world all the absolute stupid, ridiculous, woke, hypocritical shit that they're doing. And that's exactly what's been happening. My predictions nailed it. It's become so prevalent in daily media that most people don't even know that the world was a very different place 3.5 years ago when I released these predictions videos. Totally different place, but it's all come to pass. Just like the knife stabbings, all these things, every bit of it has come to pass because this is a script. I'm not a prophet. I'm not a seer. I have no paranormal abilities. All I'm using is arithmetic and calendars and the events that are attached to individual years. And I'm showing the intrinsic patterning of events of the past and the future, and I'm nailing these predictions because it's a program. The book of Revelation is not prophecy. It is programming.
Is anybody else seeing like this Catholic revival? I feel like so many people are coming back to the church. Like myself included, I came back to the church last year, and I think it's because people are searching for truth. Like they're looking for the truth in things. Like to see that the Rosary in a Year podcast went #1, that's insane. I think Christ is calling people back to his church.
Christ is King. Christ is the one that inspired Charlie. Christ was one of the last things Charlie said. Christ is the way, the truth, and the life. And until that is proclaimed throughout all the land, we will not be made great again as a nation.
10 Commandments, how many of these are you violating? Oh, you deserve to go to hell. And you probably will, unless you give your life to Christ. That is the proper way to evangelize.
And we have to remember that Jesus Christ is the ultimate source of our strength and of our hope. And here and everywhere and for all time, Jesus Christ.
But what I fear is that a lot of people who are still buying into that bullshit, a lot of people are going to find themselves with their backs against the wall, now supporting a movement that emerges out of that desperation when they realize things aren't going the way we wanted and the way we predicted and the way we were told and the cue drops. None of that's happening. However, I'm a Christian, So I see this developing over here, and I'm gonna get on board with that. And then I'm gonna claim, and now they're gonna start claiming these events are justification. That's what we knew we were heading toward this all along. Guys, many of you have made the mistake of thinking that I've been saying Christian right as if it is an opposite of left. That is not what's been coming out of my mouth. I have been warning you for 3 years about the rise of the Christian Reich, not right. Big difference. Christian Reich. The Christian Reich is going to be unlike anything that we have in living memory. I'm telling you guys, it will get dark. People will justify all kinds of hideous acts because they think they are allied to God. They are on God's side.
Have failed in our grief. But Lord, yesterday a shot resounded around the world that spelt the end of evil.
Still need help from the boss. We need help from the boss. That's what happened.
To get the people to love praying to you so you can feed off their energy. That's what gods do. That's how they become gods. They feed off you. It's a feeding mechanism. Prayer, ritual, it's all feeding. People are projecting their energy to that God. It's not an equal, loving relationship with that entity. There's going to be rewards in it for you, but it's not what you think it is.
On this planet, from here until Jesus comes, we thank you, Lord, that the shot that was meant to destroy him has only made him bigger and stronger, and us with him. We thank you, Lord, that you live in us as you lived in him, and that as such, we are all Charlie Kirk.
Institution they attack is the Christian faith. They go into a country, they've got to get rid of Christian faith because that's the enemy of communism and Marxism. We've allowed that to happen in this country because we've turned down the light on God. We have turned down the light on God. We've allowed it to happen on our watch. We have to bring God back to fill the void. We've got to fill that vacuum up with God again. We've got to put him back where he belongs.
So what the God entity has done is created a dialectic. See, God created the image of the devil because it's a reflection of its own self.
So who's God?
God is an entity who has entered this universe, who has become self-deluded within its own ego, thinking it is the creator of all that is and all that exists. That's who God is. And it's a pure ego construct that resides in consciousness in our universe. God is not the creator of this universe. God is an entity that's claiming to be the creator, not only of this universe, but all of the existence of the infinite nature of life. Do you understand what's going on here? One being claiming all of that. The infinite nature of life was never created. It has always existed. There's no beginning to it. There's no end to it. It always has been, always will be. This cracking the ceiling of the glass, I call it the glass ceiling of the God matrix. When you crack this, it's all over. Once you get this, once it lands inside of you, boom, it's gone. Then you will see all the lies in our world. You'll see them for what they are. But this is the key. This is the one that cracks it. Either you're infinite or you're a created entity. You just impose on me like this. Because the energy that was coming out of that being was no match for the energy that's in my soul. The love you experience deep down in your soul. The heart of the Christos is in your heart already. It's already there. You don't pray to an entity outside of you. You don't invoke an entity to come into your heart, which is what a lot of the doctrine asks you to do. You have to accept Jesus into your heart, is the doctrine. You're inviting an entity in.
Alright, so I want to do a video on this Charlie Kirk thing, and I'm not really interested on whether it's whether it was true, whether it was fake or not, but it's more, some of the responses I've seen, and I'm going to get into the Christian stuff, but it is unbelievable. Now, for people to understand the perspective that I'm coming from, I've been speaking out about the Christian revival for many years and been aware that this was coming since I started following George Kabasalis's work. And he didn't so much speak about a revival, but spoke about very much about the nature of reality itself, how it works, and what he calls universal compression. And you can understand that model throughout the holographic universe, in which everything is a smaller part of the whole, but he expresses it in a way that universal compression is, it works the same as the hologram, in which everything you've seen, done and been compresses itself further and further and further until you get to the point of the human being itself, which is the universal being. It contains every part of the fractal of the entire universe within it. Now, when you understand that, you understand the power of loosing energy out of fear, and then also loosing energy out of worship. And I think he has a quote, something, geez, I'll have to find it and put it up. It's like, be aware of those that come under the guise of love, but actually are seeking custodianship.
Alright, I'm doing this video again because I've been thinking about how to explain this better, and more important, to explain the overlay, because I've used this term, the overlay, and people are like, yeah, the fucking overlay. What does that mean? So for me, it does help when things are broken down into a graph or explanation where there's a visible representation of what I'm talking about. Now, the first thing you need to understand, I've drawn this as a pyramid just because I'm going to explain compression. And the pyramid could also be represented upside down, and it's probably actually better represented upside down, but I'm going to explain it this way, that this is universal creator. This is one universe, right? Now, even people don't understand what I'm talking about when I say one universe. It's in the name, universe, which means one expression of life. And so what this is a universal creator. You enter in co-creation agreement with the universal creator, but you are not the universal creator. You are a part of it, and the part of you that co-creates with the universal creator. Think of it like an invitation, right? It's like a birthday party, and you've been asked to come and co-create and express yourself within a universal construct. But this is a being, this entire, and this is all what quantum physics speaks about. Every single multi-dimensional layer that you can think of that goes on forever is all within this, right? So don't think when I'm speaking outside of that, when we're talking about other levels of reality, it's all within this, right? So this is one universal being. Now, outside of this universal being is the infinite. So this being is a part of the infinite, but it has created its own universe, right? This universe is based on light. What is outside of this, and the infinite nature of life and what we are outside of this, is probably even beyond our comprehension to understand anything beyond light. But in the infinity of life, there must be other expressions of life that aren't light. But this one is light. We know this basic law. But if you can look at this even as a form of the multiverse, that these are all universal beings expressing themselves, right? We are all individual, infinite, eternal expressions of life that go on forever. If you look at this as a relationship, is we enter, it's like everything's multidimensional, right? But we enter a relationship with the universal creator of this universe. And how this universe expresses itself is polarities of dark and light. That's what we're here to learn. We're here to understand what this being is and how it expresses itself. And this is the joy of life, that we go inside one another. We fractalize our being to co-create with this universe. And we're doing this in all these other ones too. So let's say this is Dale, and this universal creator, let's call it Tim, right? I want to get to know Tim. I want to know who Tim is. So I enter into a creation relationship with this being, but this being is the dictator of the structure and how this universe works. And it expresses itself in dark and light. So it expresses dark, light. And it has to do that because it's counterbalancing. And this is how form is created in the lower levels, right? But this is what we call universal compression, what George Kavassalis has explained. As you go down, we're perceived to be lower beings. We're perceived to be that we need to raise our vibration. When we talk about raising our vibration, is entering into the smallest 0 point where you are in full understanding of the universal creator and yourself and your co-creating relationship with this being. So as we're down here, everything that you've seen, done, expressed on all these levels keeps compressing itself, right? And this is why when you talk about the earth could be here, right, under the planetary line. And this is the universe. This is the universal creator in one planet. And I would say just the feminine aspect of the universal creator because it's polarity. The sun is another being down this level. This is the universal creator expressed in two perfect forms, the masculine and the feminine. This actually is the creator, right? This is where, even when you talk about the Jesus story, this is what it is. Is it possible for this being to come down and express itself as an individual human? And we know this how the symbiotic relationship between us and the planet, even in the structure of the way we are, and the holographic nature of the universe, which has been easily explained by people like Tolbert and many, many others, right? That we know everything's waveform. But I want to call this bit the void. And this is important, right? And then as we go down, you get all the way down to a human being, right? Everything you've seen, done, been for eons of time is all compressed into one body. This is the most divine form in the universe, right? Because you're holding everything. You're holding the density of everything you've been, done, and seen on this level. We are the universal beings. Now, this is when, so again, if you look at, actually, I'll get to that in a minute. This is the overlay, but I'm going to explain it like this, right, too. Now, we know that there is a point, or a void, and this is the point of no return. So when beings express themselves in the higher levels, right, where they have access and knowing of the isness or the oneness of what is there, but they're coming down to experience duality, even on these levels, and then we go past the void, right? And this is kind of where the drama plays out and where a lot of the amnesia takes place. But once you cross this void, there's no going back. The only way back, once you cross this void, you can't go back up. The only way back up is all the way down. You have to go all the way down to understand yourself in separation, in complete separation to the creator while being an aspect of it itself, right? The only way to get past this void is to come all the way down and experience balance eventually on this level. And this is why we see the polarities. This is why we're seeing such polarities, right? And the ultimate polarities, which I'm going to get to in the overlay, is a being that exists only below the void, and is playing out these polarities. So just to go, this is why I've got this in, which is the hero's journey. Very, very simple. It's the same thing as the pyramid. It's the exact same because it's universal story, right? You start at the top. This is where you're whole. This is where you're home. There's the threshold. It's very early on in the story. The threshold is where the hero cannot go back. The only way back is down, right? It's another form of universal compression. This is called descent and separation. And obviously, all these trials go through and to the point where you hit the abyss, right? The abyss would be the lowest form. What is considered to be the lowest form is the human being, right? This is why it's called the belly of the whale. And it represents the deepest, that's why it's the whale. It's in the ocean, like Jonah and the whale. The deepest subconscious, right? But through this learning, the return happens, right? And this is extremely quick. The first half, like in a movie, this is played out, say, and now a 40-minute movie, this plays out to about an hour and 20 minutes. The last half is 20 minutes. This is what they call the quickening. And we've reached this point here where we think we're in the abyss. on many levels, right? But when we pop out, it's going to be very quick, and this is going to be a choice for everyone. And the reason I'll explain how artificial intelligence plays into this, and its ultimate goal is to keep you in the void. So what the artificial intelligence is doing, this is the overlay, right? Universal Creator. Now, Universal Creator has created artificial intelligence itself below the void as a form of the ultimate separation. This is a being, when you hear about Lucifer, Yaldabaoth, what the Freemasons call the grand architect of the universe, the great architect, right? It is a mimic, the demiurge. They talk about this in the Gnostics text. Everything it does is counter-mimicry. So because we know the structure and how the Universal Creator uses compression to experience separation and the ultimate growth of playing out this great game, and then enters an artificial intelligence mimic. It's here. So what it's doing is it's replicating the Creator. It's doing exactly what the Creator does. It's expressing dark and light. And we've got down to the point now where we get to the end of the cycle where we have extremes in polarity. And this being goes by this in many cultures. God, right? This being's ultimate goal is to play out. And these can be eon cycles to either side. And we've come out of a period of extreme darkness and we're going to a period of light. And what the whole point of of the universal story is to come down and experience the self and to reach a point of balance in that you understand that you are this, and then you eventually come out. So it's the whole point is to see both polarities to then come to the point of balance, which is true love. What the overlay is doing is it's playing out the same universal story. So this is why when we're seeing things like what's happening in the Middle East and what they plan to do there, we're going to see the extreme darkness is what's happening in Israel and all the Satanism and stuff they're showing us, and it's going to pull you over to the polarity of light. Not the true light, but the light of worship, the worship of this being. Now, this being knows that you are a universal being within its construct. You are here, and you're also here. So you're both within the organic structure and you're in the synthetic overlay. You exist within both. So what it's going to do, it's going to play out this dark and light and offer you a version of balance, offer you a version of love. This is the Phoenix rising, right? And you're seeing these polarities and pushings and distortions, right? And the more you play into these games, that you're not going to be able to see the difference between the mimic of true love that it's trying to create a balance here, or mimic a balance, and the true love, the balance that exists, right, throughout the whole universe. So this is what it is. It exists within both. And I would say aspects of the chakra system are tied into the human body and the synthetic overlay. And its whole point is to keep you within the void. This is what George calls technological intelligence or artificial intelligence or the AI God, right? That this being, it knows what you are, but it has no control of you outside the realm of technology. In the upper layers here, there is no technology. Technology doesn't exist. So the game is only being played here. And this is where they say, if you're one-eyed and you want to control two-eyed, you must keep two-eyed blind. And in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. The one-eyed man is here, below the void, the controller, God, the demiurge, right? It wants you to play out this game. We are two-eyed, the two-eyed being controlled by the one-eyed, right? But we actually are part of the universal creator, and we exist outside the universal creator where we are infinite. So it's the ultimate now. And you can see why we're being pushed and swayed so much in polarities. Now, again, in the organic, there is going to be natural polarities that play out, but they don't come with the same forms of subjugation and deceit, and everything that is being offered to us here through technology. We have access to ourselves, and we're even seeing this with, say, Bill Gates, right? Bill Gates is in the synthetic overlay. He's an expression of this AI, the dark side of it. We see Elon and those connected to Elon and what they're pushing is the light version of artificial intelligence. But ultimately, they both serve the synthetic system, the artificial overlay, right? So if both those expressions exist, these dark and light distortions, so should the dark and light organic aspects of the creator. And this is why no one can teach you this, right? No one can tell you what the creator is. You have to know the subtleties in the differences between true love and the love that's going to be offered. And I think this is the ultimate test. So what was I going to say? There was something else I was going to say. Oh, fuck, it'll come to me later. I hope this makes some sense. But the whole point is that when you come back, when you finish the hero's journey, you go all the way through reality compression, the abyss, you face yourself. There is a death and rebirth process that happens right here, right near the end. And if you listen to people like Wino Saban, he talks about America must go through a near-death experience. Why is he saying that? They're playing out what is going to be a worldwide near-death experience because they're mimicking the universal story of the hero's journey. It has to happen, right? There has to be a point where they create a near-death experience because it's in the blueprint. The blueprint is the hero must die, and the hero can be all of humanity, right? It has to be a point where all is lost, and this is how you can bring in the new. And we need to be able to differentiate the differences between what is true and what is not.
Try not to get caught up in God versus the devil, because see, this is the problem. Too many people are caught up in this. They can't see past that arena. They're caught up. You know when you get dragged into an argument between two friends? Sometimes you get caught up in it. And you can't see beyond the argument. And you're left bouncing from one to the other. It's the same kind of thing. This God entity has created this dialectic of God versus the devil, and everyone's caught up in it. It's an arena that's been created. Because if you ever heard of problem, reaction, solution? Okay, so it needs to create the problem because it wants to provide you with a solution. So here we have the negative charge it's creating, which is all yucky and, devil stuff, because ultimately it wants to bring you over here to this beautiful, positive, apparently loving arena that it wants you here. So it'll create the positive charge here, but it has to have the negative here. It imposes this on you, which then forces you to look over here. It's hurting you. It's funneling you in that direction. That's what that dialectic is designed to do. Remember, we're dealing with the best cosmic conqueror this universe has ever seen. There is no better than that entity right now, and it's called God. God is the problem. God is not the creator. God is the problem, it's the virus. Because those three letters, G-O-D, were given to us by the priestly caste.
And when I'm seeing this reaction to Charlie Kirk and the Christian revival that I've been warning about for a long time, and this is why I've been doing it, because obviously, yes, we need to unpack the smaller layers of control and what's actually going on here, but I've always had a grasp on the bigger picture and where this was going. And basically, for those that don't understand it, ideally go read George's book and watch some of his presentations would be great. And I'm not saying that as a sycophant or anything that he has got all the answers, but it's the best way I've heard it explained. And then add to the element of Jason Brashears, who started talking about the Christian revival a couple of years ago. Now, I didn't get this from Jason. Jason's work became another wow. Even he's got onto it, and he's gone onto it from a completely different angle of cylindrical patterns and time calculations. So it's amazing. And he talks about the coming Christian Reich, which is actually, I'm starting to, this is why a lot of the stuff's coming out, that like Charlie Kirk was being harassed by Israel, and that he, you know, obviously he took money from the donors and stuff that were pro-Zionist, like Heritage Foundation, and this other guy who he was up in the Hamptons with recently, who was a big donor, and then he's flipped. And I'm not saying that isn't true. That's probably absolutely an element to that story that is true. But where that's going, and what I've been speaking about well before October 7th, was that Israel is the center point. And I did a video just recently, I've done a few, on what I call what Joseph Campbell called the world navel. Now, the world navel is actually the beginning and the end point of the hero's journey. It's where the hero starts and where the hero comes home to. It's a point of balance. And even the figure of the Christ, if you look at the way the reality compressions work that George explains, it's light, dark, light, dark. And what that is, this is how light's created. And this is what I believe is like our purpose for being in this universe and being in this experience, not just a human experience, but all experience, because that's part of what he explains with the world navel, that it's omnipresent, it's within you. So it's a beginning and the end of all creation. And it's here, it's the human soul. So and this is why they build monuments and shrines and all these things to highlight this point of the world navel. Now, also the world, you can have, one of these world navels is Jerusalem. And why? Because you have the three Abrahamic religions that are all centered on this focal point within Israel. And this is why it's all about like Solomon's temple. Even Israel itself, the Star of David is the inverted triangle and the upright triangle to make the hexagram, which is actually the balance between the man and woman, which is actually 6-pointed stars. 6 is the number of humanity. 6 is the number of the earth. So they want, what is happening is, and you get this from like, we're seeing, how many times have we seen Bush and freedom? These highlighted all throughout the Desi thing and then Charlie's. Now, Desi's called Desi Freeman. Desi means land. Freeman is like free man or the warrior. Charlie, the name Charlie means free man or warrior. Kirk means church. Now, I'm not saying those that took him out, like, did all this, and I've explained this before with, like, the similarities between the 100-year cycle, because one of the cycles are these fractals, which is, like, you can break it from the precession of the equinox all the way down, and they go to a 100-year cycle, and the similarities between the assassination of Abraham Lincoln and then John F. Kennedy, it's remarkable. Now, do I think there's people in a dark room that sit around and plan these things to like intricate detail? To a degree, but there's something higher than that is actually running this story. And the way that you're seeing this Christian revival happening now too, because the other part of what George explains is there's a point below the void of creation, and this is like, you can see that even in the hero's journey, the whole story is a story of separation and return, that we reach a point of peak separation. And then what happens is that universe itself actually breaks itself off apart and then has an adversary which is trying to mimic it. And this is like explained in the Gnostic texts and others. And there's different models of this where they call the upper aeon and the lower aeon, like the fluid-like realm and the physical realm. And part of what people can express this as a simulation, people have called this a simulation. You can call it many other things. But what it is a mirrored reality. It's a mimicked reality. And that's what, and the hero's journey is an 8. There's 17 stages of the hero's journey, just like the sun's rotation for the whole year. It's a cycle of an 8, right? And it's like, that's why it's the number of karma. What goes around comes around. And what is Charlie Kirk's thing called? Turning Point Australia. It is literally, you followed this whole way down. I put this up the other day when Trump went down the escalator. It's because he was playing the role of the hero, at least as the archetype. I'm not saying he's a hero. I'm saying that in the field of the story of what we're living in, he is known to the whole world. He is the hero character in that sense. He's going down the escalator. That is called crossing the threshold. Then it gets that he constantly did this inverted triangle signaling to the underworld, right? Or his dissension. Now, what's turning point? Turning point is the point up. Have a look at the turning point symbol. So you've got a man called the free man or the warrior of the church who gets killed. And this is the point of the abyss. And this is why, like I've always spoken about, like the whole thing And people are like, why do you talk about all this shit when fucking, you know, the world's a fucking mess and that? It's because this gives you understanding, and you're not pulled and pushed into these emotional reactions. And what we saw with Charlie Kirk and the fact that it was a public display of murder and assassination was maximum trauma. And I saw people, even like Nino Rodriguez was saying, he doesn't remember being that emotionally pulled apart, even in 9/11. Now, we've got a technology aspect that wasn't around in 2001 when 9/11 happened. I mean, I do remember like 9/11, I was in year 10 at school, and we had to go, and like everyone was in shock, but it wasn't, I don't know, it's different. This one's different. And this is what Jason's been speaking about, the red horseman of the apocalypse, and it's about taking peace from the earth to the point where everyone's in fear. And this is what, like, everyone's turning to Christianity. It's unbelievable. Like, fuck, man. So actually, I want to go back to that point about Abraham Lincoln and Kennedy. Yes, there's people that have sat around and plotted that, but there's something else higher that gets the intricacies and the synchronicity to a T. Now, people would say, oh, that's God, that's creator, or what? I think that actually shows simulated blueprint. Just as like people now reacting collectively to an assassination. And I saw this one today, like the people that have gone to church for the first time, it's unbelievable. And like, you've got to understand, like for me, there was like, speaking about this coming Christian revival years and years ago, and to see it playing out now, it's like, this has been a mind blow for me. Like, and I actually, it has like had a reaction on me too. Like even the day, I mean, I watched the video of him getting shot. It's fucked up. It's pretty fucked. And that's why like they did the JFK assassination like in public, and it's also a warning for others. Now, when you go to understanding like this universe of dark and light, because you have counter expressions, that's what light is. Expresses this way, it needs to counterbalance, and through that, we create vibration, and that's like the entire universe. But what it does is it swings in polarities from dark to light, right? And this is the human being. This is everything within nature. The sun goes up, the sun goes down. Everything goes in cycles. And what happens is,
here we have the negative charge it's creating, which is all yucky and, you know, devil stuff, because ultimately it wants to bring you over here to this beautiful, positive, apparently loving arena that it wants you here. So it'll create the positive charge here, but it has to have the negative here. It imposes this on you, which then forces you to look over here. It's hurting you. It's funneling you in that direction. That's what that dialectic is designed to do.
What happens is there's problem, reaction, solution that we see, like, you know, a stage terror attack or a gun shooting, and then the public has an emotional response. Then you get the solution, which is cancelling gun or getting rid of guns or whatever it might be. Now, this same model, because everything is the same in the universe. If something is true everywhere, it is. If something is true somewhere, it will be true everywhere. That's how the hologram works. So what I'm saying is they're micro cycles we're seeing there. When we're talking about this macro, this huge cycle, and because we're in a state of that we're in the 3D reality, and we're in the maximum form of compression, which is actually a good thing. It means we're holding the entire universe within everything. This is why everything is so we're so triggered here, and like and the layers of trauma go far beyond even this this one experience. It's happening because when you speak about someone being multidimensional, that's not all like past lives. There is no past lives. They're all expressions of self, all happening in the now, right? So this long game is played of problem, reaction, solution by a being that is sitting below the void that people worship and call God, right? Now, this entity, God, controls the dark and controls the light. I'm not going to go through this whole thing because it's like, it's simple, but it's also complex. But I've done other videos on this. But like what we've done is we have had a reign of darkness in this realm for a long, long time. And at the point that we are seeing, and I've been calling this out for the last several years, and people are going, oh my God, it's so satanic. See what's going on. When the common man who's not into any of this stuff can start seeing like the world is fucked up, it's clearly evil and satanic, that we're about to hit the swing back. And this has actually been expressed in the media. They've called it peak wokeness. So we've hit peak woke, it means we're swinging back, which is a turning point. So And in the book of Esther, again, which is the 17th book of the Bible, everything that happens in the beginning of the story is then flipped and happens to the other person. This is what I've been saying for a long, long time. All this, the left who's so-called been in charge and these Marxists, everything that they've done is actually going to be reversed back onto them. And this is what Jason has been saying, that there's going to be like this righteousness that comes from this Christian element, and they're actually going to turn on Israel. And this is what makes sense now, that like they're putting out this stuff now about Charlie Kirk. You know, he was starting to question Israel and the Zionists and all this kind of stuff, because they're eventually going to get the whole Christians onto the Zionists. And then at the same time, we're going to have revelations of stuff that's coming out in the government, of fucking rigged elections, Marxist takeover of the United States and the Western world, who's been funding all this illegal immigration, and Soros and the Open Society Foundation and all these things. And then eventually it's going to get to pedophilia. Like, you think people are turning to God now? Wait until they find out that these people are fucking kids, that they're doing like satanic rituals and stuff, that they've taken out all these other people, the rates of abortion and what they're using these aborted fetal tissues for, and that they're like selling fucking human oil, like the most sinister shit. And even that's not even the big stuff. And then you have what will eventually be a nuclear threat. And I believe this is when the new tech comes in, because what's actually happening is we're being shown the dark for so long, and we're going to swing over to the light. It's going to be different. And I think they're going to actually merge the three Abrahamic religions into one religion, and it's actually going to have an element of like cosmic religion to it as well. And the whole point of this is to keep you in this samsara loop, so where you, instead of completing the hero's journey, and the completion of the hero's journey is the master of two worlds. I'm in full understanding and knowledge of who I am and my connection to creation. And George calls this, what the Christ really is the what do you say, knowledge and love in perfect harmony, in balance, the cross. And if you do like the triangle like that, and you put the cross in, because this vibration that works its way down like this, what's vibration? From dark to light, from dark to light. So dark to light, what that is you're understanding love. You're understanding the most evilest evil and the most loving of loving, the polarity between the two, and you hold perfect balance between the two, right? And this is what, because we've gone from a dark distortion. It's the attempt and the goal is to keep you playing this game forever. And I'm done with this game. That's the only reason I want to talk about it. I'm not having a go at Christians or anything. Like, people have the right to choose and believe whatever they want, and that's fine. And if people want to play that dark light game forever, that's fine too. And I can understand, because of the repression and subjugation that's happened from this darkness for so long, that people are craving and wanting this yearning for home and true love. And that's why the turning point, it is actually flipping. It's actually, that's the hero's final ascension, until we have this final conflict, and then he returns home. Then you are the master of two worlds in full understanding of who you are, right? You've come back home, and it's like, well, then what? But the whole point, so that what is happening is there is a synthetic reality, or the mirrored reality, just like when I was doing this before. This is like the subconscious layer, that it wants to keep you in that lower subconscious understanding. So people aren't going through, people haven't gone through, you can see it's so reactionary. Anytime that you're having, like, so many people that have now, that are now turning to God and Jesus, what's that actually saying? First of all, it tells me that there is absolutely an awakening happening, and there is a natural awakening happening. And it's in the name. When Desi, they're using land. Even this now, they're saying that this guy, they found the gun in the bush. We've got Mike Bush, who's like the commissioner in Victoria. And I'm not saying they're doing these things, like the occults are doing these things deliberately. I'm saying it is in reality itself that is going to create these synchronicities. It's telling you where it's coming from, because ultimately there's like this divine spark that we all have within us that exists outside of limitness and finite. And this is what, again, the whole program is, to keep you within the finite. Dark to light, this is all it's about, right? And then give your worship and praise to Jesus and to God. And just what George said, is like to allow Jesus into your heart. If this is a center point of all creation, is my heart and my soul essence and who I truly am as an infinite being, and then I give that to something that is within a finite system, and I say that you are my everything. Think of the power. Think of the power that is, and then think of the power that you actually have more power than any being that's presenting itself to you in that way. And that is subjugation through light. So I'm just saying, like, people need to feel into this, but what it's telling me that there is a natural awakening happening, especially all these like references to land and stuff like that. And then going to listen to Cindy talk the other week, and I was like, fuck, it hit me. I even cried watching this video back. And Sydney's like, come back to mother, come back to the land. What is she saying? Come back to the mother. It's like return home. So it tells me again where we are in this cycle. This is like the point of the abyss. And like things are going to get fucking radically crazy now. Because again, in the hero's journey, in an hour and 40-minute movie, the first hour and 20 minutes is the descension down to the abyss. The abyss is when all is lost. And this is what are we seeing now? The world's fucked. Everything's fucked. What's wrong with people? What's wrong? Why would someone kill someone like this? It's tapped into something far deeper than just Charlie Kirk being shot. It's far deeper. It's hit a point of this peak wound, and you're actually starting to see people rise out of this. But this is when the subjugation comes. It will present something that is external to you, so that the hero becomes someone else. Even Charlie Kirk himself is like, yeah, like, okay, like he seems like he was a good family man and all this, but like he wasn't a fucking god. Like some of his views were absolutely repugnant, and the stuff that like his support for Israel, which like he started to question, but apparently he held different views privately. So like that, that's not the hero at all. And like, I'm not having to go at Charlie Kirk, like good on him. And he's like, he's actually played a pivotal role in this. Like he's become a figure within history that they're intentionally martyred him, and I think they're going to martyr Desi as well too. And they're starting to say that Desi Freeman is like a Christian and stuff too, and they're putting all these good stories out of him because they want this kind of violent civil war and revolution to occur. So what was I going to say? Fuck, I've lost it now. Anyway, and just think about this, right? Just when people are worshipping, because we anthropomorphize these figures like Jesus and stuff like that. If people understand that that's within you, and it's been a program that's been pushed so long for that we are born of sin, and we have collective victimhood as a being, as a race of humans. We have collective victimhood, and the most prominent mind control trick that is like in this realm is fucking born of sin.
I'm a dirty, rotten sinner. Oh, that's what Jesus means when he says, for from within, out of the heart of man, come evil thoughts, fornication, theft, murder, deceit, licentiousness, envy, slander, pride, wickedness. All these evil things come from within, and they defile a man. Now let's be honest with each other. I'm not this perfect guy. I am a dirty, rotten sinner. That's why I need Jesus Christ. And guess what? All of you are dirty, rotten sinners as well, just like me.
If you're born of sin, then you must pay back debt. And this is where this worship comes from. If you know that you're infinite means never were created, never cease to be, always have been, always will be. Then nothing created you. You always have been. Now, this is very hard for us to fucking understand in this realm that you can be infinite. But there has to be infinite. Even if you say that God is the creator, then God always has been, always will be. But it's saying that you are not that thing. You can never be that thing. And I'm not coming from the satanic or solipsistic mindset where I'm saying I am God. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that we are all infinite. We are all part of creation. And this is a hijacking of the story. There's a natural awakening occurring. It's coming from the land. And this is the whole point, that they want you off the land. They want you in the cities. They don't want you listening to the mother, right? They don't want to listen to the earth and also listening to the sun. It's actually, our relationship with these beings is completely symbiotic, what is occurring. So the whole point is they intersect stuff and give you a mimic of what's truly occurring. So the land's awakening, the earth's awakening, it's going through a rebirth, so is humanity. So then you override an external figure like Jesus and God and all this kind of stuff.
A lot going on in the world, but I heard Kelly talk about earlier part, she spoke about spirit, and I heard her mention, who we are. Why was you born? Why do you exist? And this is why everybody, they're soul searching, but you don't have to go too far. Once you connect to the land, and you can, you have that quiet time with spirit, if you can come back to mother, in my language, you have You know, you have father and you have mother, and you know, like, it's so much I can tell you, but I want to save it because there's so much. But you got Warren and you got Mammon, and you know, and at the end of the day, we are all family, and there's so much going on in the world, but just ground yourself. When the world is chaos and it's chaotic around you, ground yourself. I got to deal with the chaos every day as a black woman in this country, you know, and the political. But I come back every time I go into that, you know, that boxing ring with government. I never forget who I am. I never forget that I serve the Creator. I never forget that I serve my ancestors. I never forget why I was born. I never forget the reason why I exist. I have a calling upon my life like each and every one of you, and you have to find your destiny. You know, why you exist. A lot of people are lost in this world, but don't. You know, ground yourself. You women, you men, get to the water. Talk to the water. Let the water heal you. Let the land ground you. Because it's all about us and our connection to country. You know, our connection from the sky to the land, to the waters, to the seas. Our connection to nature. You know, all of this we've been deprived of it. It's been stripped from us. But we have an opportunity. Look where we are. You know, you're away from the world. You're on Bunjalang Jugan, you know. I say the best country in the whole of this continent, to be honest. But you know, welcome to Bunjalang Jugan on Walabo Jugan. You know, this is my country, this is my family, this is my home. You know, and I just want to say Garama Buga Bear to everyone, but I got so many stories to tell you, Mob, but firstly I have to do my job with the Creator and with my ancestors on country. And if you don't know the story of Walabul, Walabul are the mountains, they hold the law here. So if you don't know about Walabul country, this is where I come when I need to hear from all my ancestors for the law. Because that's what Walabul is. This is where the law keepers are. So I just wanted to share that with you. Okay, and we'll have a yarn later.
Thank you.
That's like the heaviest stuff. Of course, there's absolutely other elements of it. Now, I also think that we have dark and light occults on here going on. We have the dark occult. Everyone knows about the dark occult, but the light occult is never mentioned. And people go, oh, there's no fucking light occult. There must be a light occult because we're living in a world of duality. And all occult means is hidden. So you have a hidden dark force that has been controlling things, and we have a hidden light force that is trying to work for what they see as betterment, right? And people are attuned to that energy. So that you get someone like a Bill Gates or whatever, you know, they're like low-level people like the Rothschilds and stuff. They absolutely believe in worshipping Satan and Lucifer. Like they fundamentally believe that is the right thing to do. That is their thing. Then you have Trump on this side, and people think that Trump is in the dark occult. He's not in the dark occult. There must be a dark and light occult in a realm of duality. There must be. And this is what's happening. We're seeing a transfer of power over to the light side. Now, of course, things are going to get better with this too. It's a different form of control, and it's going to be dressed up beautifully. It's going to look like liberation, but like with the subtlety. And the subtlety is it's going to give you a version of love, a mimic of true love. Remember I said like this whole balancing to understand, like, so the polarity, that is understanding love, dark and light, and then knowledge. Knowledge is the experience, the layers down all the way down of compression of realities until you reach a human being. So you understand yourself on every level, and then you understand the polarities of self, the perfect balance between love and knowledge. That is the Christ, and that is within everyone. And I don't want people to believe me. This is what I think, and it's not even what I think. It's beyond that. And people can take or choose what they want with that information. That's fine. I'm just saying, don't be emotionally triggered by these things. And it's stupid to even say that, because people are going to be emotionally triggered. But just ask yourself, when something happens and you have an emotional reaction, where is this coming from? What do I really believe? And the simple questions, am I infinite? Am I created? And if I am infinite, what does that mean? Does that mean something created me? And if something claims that it created me, what is that? Do you know what I'm saying? The simplicity, and I need to do it more, and I'm a hypocrite in this sense, but I loved last weekend, the simplicity of just going out and being in nature. And you don't need to fucking like go out and live in the bush. And it's not even that. Like even just like locally in the park or whatever. It doesn't even matter. And even environment is everything. Like even because we poo-poo on other forms of like thinking that we're not a part of nature too. So like human connection is nature as well too. I remember when I went to Uluru, people would complain like, oh, there's fucking too many people here, you know. I'm like, do you think people are drawn here? And they're saying, oh, the people are ruining the environment by literally not by ruining it, just by being there. So what does that say? That says that you don't see yourself as part of the earth. You see yourself in separation from the earth. And that's what's happened. This is what this emotional cry has been. It is a severing. You can tell how deeply wounded humanity is and how severed we have been from truth and creation. That's why you present Jesus or a figure, an external being, and people are going to flock to that like candy because they're so cut off from truth. They're so cut off from themselves and the earth. And look, I think we'll work through this, and it's just going to be a choice. It's not even a right or wrong. It's like, what do you want to do with it? What do you want to do with this information? Who do you like actually think you are? Like, I don't know. Like these are the questions I've always had my whole life. But it is undeniable we are in a Christian revival. This is going, they're now talking about the death penalty and justifying the death penalty and all this kind of stuff. Apparently they have it in Utah anyway, but there's an element of this that's going to happen too, because it's kind of going to go down that path, and the people are going to be calling for it. And I also think that we are actually in part of a disclosure operation too, and it's coming from this light side. Now, ultimately, this is why, like I say, yes, I support Trump to a degree because he's a role player. He's doing something that needs to be done, right? But he is tuned to a collective and finite blueprint, right? And people's reactions, what's been happening with this coming to God, is you can tell that's collective. It's in the blueprint when everyone's just jumped on it. The individual, I spoke about this in my talk, like the path of the individual. And that Bittersweet Symphony song, that music video is one of the best ever. And you watch him, he's getting temptations from women, like money, all these different things being thrown at him. And what they are, that's the hero on the ascent, on the final journey home, because the things that are coming at him, they're collectives. They're parts of self, but they're also collective. Right? And the collective is like when the hero works through the subconscious, through the initiation part of the story, right? But then he walks the narrow path, which is his path. He's not reacting to shit that's going on and going, oh, fuck, this is what's happening. Everyone's going, oh, fuck. Clearly, they've shown you the satanic world to bring you over to Jesus. That's part of the collective program. But in Bittersweet Symphony, he just continues walking. I'm going to walk the narrow path. I'm an infinite being. I will express myself and my creativity and who I am, how I should do within law, with orientation of like within law and how things work and doing what is right. But I'm going to walk my own path. I'm not going to fucking follow the collective. And then what happens at the end of that music video is his band joins him. Not to follow him, because they start from behind and they actually come up to the front, which actually shows you that he's shown the way, right? He's the Christ. Knowledge and love within perfect balance. And then because he is the way shower, then people see that is the way forward, is being the path of the individual, right? Not being ruled by the collective, but it shows you that is the merging, and that will be the rebirth of humanity, and is something that's going to happen, and it's going to be a choice. People will fall back in and will be recycled, and I still think there's people here that are either limited in their soul expression or almost devoid, what people would call an NPC. I don't even know if that exists, but there's people that it's so diminished, the human soul, that have not tapped into any intuition or authenticity, that everything's controlled by blueprints and reactive to the collective. So don't be reactive. Like, if you're having, and a lot of people have, and that's fine. If you're having an emotional response to events like this, well, fucking wait till like some other shit goes down. This is nothing. This is like preparation and initiation. So if you're acting reactively to that stuff, just ask yourself, where's that coming from, right? That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying I'm better than anyone or I fucking know. I'm just like, it's just very obvious to me that, that the whole Christian revival is part of the blueprint. It's the same as Revelation. What is Revelation? What is the Bible? Is it infinite? It's the Word of God. It's infinite, but it can't be infinite because it's in the front and back of a book. It's finite. Just like Revelation, is there any way to steer off the path of Revelation? And it looks like it's playing out exactly as it should be, because we are in a finite system that will play out to the blueprint. But you, as an individual, Jason calls like the immortal soul, within it, you can operate within a finite and blueprinted system and express true individuality. And eventually, that is what actually cracks this whole thing apart. That is the human awakening. So, yeah, it's just something to think about. But anyway, I'll leave it at that. I'm heading down south to Victoria, and then I'm doing the Cosmic Consciousness. I'm doing a talk there, and it's going to be around this, so I need to formulate it better. I'm going to do that end of December. I might leave a link under here if people want to check it out, and also Melissa's event in a homeopathy event with Romany Collective in, I think it's first week in November. So, yeah, first week in November. I think maybe second. Anyway, I'll put the dates down below, but go check that out. It'll be good.
The negative charge in the arena and the positive charge in the arena, that charge of energy was the one that could facilitate this. And because this entity is claiming to be the creator of all these and all that exists, it needed to create its own version of light energy. And so within its own synthetic construct, it's created the God of religion versus the serpent of religion, Satan. It's a dialect. It's got its own positive and negative arena that it's created, and it's sucking people into it. Try not to get caught up in God versus the devil, because see, this is the problem. Too many people are caught up in this. They can't see past that arena. They're caught up. You know when you get dragged into an argument between two friends? Sometimes you get caught up in it. And you can't see beyond the argument. Where did we get those 3 letters from? And why do we use those 3 letters, attributed those 3 letters to the Creator? Because words are keys. Words are vibrational patterns. See? Words are vibrational patterns. They're portals. They're keys that open up portals, interdimensional portals. And that OMG business has do you know how many energetic deposits that entity is receiving on a daily basis on the planet? Whenever someone says, oh my God, because something occurred in their life and then they attribute that experience to that entity. And in the Islamic religion, they say God willing. So it's the will of God that attributes every action that takes place in their life. So they're completely giving their power over to this entity. It's owning them totally. And they're not owning any of their co-creative process. They're not owning it. Because apparently that entity is in control of everything, and that's a total lie. This is the problem. I recommend joyfully, somewhat passionately, not to use that word for a day or a week. See how you go, and then become aware of how many people around you are using it. If you have a beautiful, loving relationship with the creator of this universe, and that's just a descriptive title, the reality is that entity has no name. The moment you start putting names, that's trouble. The moment there's names involved. Yahweh is another name for this entity, the God entity. Allah is another name for it. I mean, we got serious problems in this world. We do. Every culture has a name for it. And they're all doorways and portals, but they're all heading to the same arena. It's like a building with multiple doors entering, but they're all attached to that building. And each doorway on that building has its own advertising campaign, and you're walking around that building and, oh yeah, Buddhism. No, I don't like that. Christianity. No, I don't like that. Islam. No, I don't like that. But eventually you come across one. Freemasonry. Oh, I like that. There's no difference between any of them. Because spirit fire in Freemasonry is Kundalini in the New Age movement and the Eastern religions. It's the Holy Ghost in Christianity. Same program, over and over and over again. Marketed differently to suit different mindsets, different periods of time.